Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Mina and this is part 4 of the cardigan series, the final part. I'm very excited to get this cardigan finished. So yeah, sorry, it's been a little while since I posted. I was actually a bit busy for the first time in a while, but I have some free time now, so I'm excited to get this cardigan done. So in this video, what I hope to do, but what I will do is finish both the button bands and the collar, and I guess attach the buttons, and then I'll be done. So let's get started. Because it had been a few weeks since I'd picked up this cardigan, I didn't quite know where to start. So I decided to just spend some time weaving in the ends. This allowed me to feel the yarn and look at the colours without having to make any decisions, and it just helped me get back into the knitting headspace. There were a lot of ends. It actually took me a whole day to weave them all in. And I don't really know what I'm doing. I just look at each end and try to figure out the best way to weave it in so that it's secure and out of sight. For the majority of these ends, I used my needle and wove them into the mattress stitch seams. You can see here I've done one side and it looks lovely, and then I've got this side here which I haven't done. I'm trying to decide what stitch to use for the button band. So I've knit these two little samples here. This is rib stitch, 2x2 rib stitch, and this is garter stitch. Yeah, I can't really think of any advantage that one of them would have over the other. It's just mainly an aesthetic decision. So for other cardigans, I have seen a lot of hand knit cardigans using the rib stitch for the button band, except for those cardigans it starts from here and then goes all the way around and then down the other side. My cardigan of course is going to have a collar up here like the Harry Styles cardigan, so it's not going to go all the way around. What should I do? So I knitted a garter stitch button band, but I don't really like the look of it, so I'm gonna unravel it and do a rib stitch button band and see if I like that more. So yeah, this is a little sample I made, and I think that looks better than this, so let's give it a go. In the meantime, I've come to Albert Kite Market to try and find some buttons. I found these buttons for €1, and this is what they look like on the other side, which I actually think I like better. This is the 2x2 rib button band, and I think it looks pretty good. The button band is 62 stitches across, and the front piece edge is 83 rows high. So 83 minus 62 equals 21, which means that there are 21 less stitches than there are rows. So while I was picking up the stitches, I skipped 21 rows, and this was roughly every fourth row. So by doing this, the button band is attached nice and evenly. Also, when I first drew up my plan, I planned for the button bands to be 2 centimeters wide, and I didn't account for the fact that I actually need them to cross over rather than just meet. So when knitting the button bands, I actually made them 4 centimeters wide instead of 2. I'm just checking that these buttons fit through the buttonholes, which are 3 stitches wide. And they do. Quite snug, but that's okay. So this is how I want the buttons to be spaced. So yeah, I want to place each button sort of roughly between 2 ribs like that, and then have 2 ribs in between each one. So there, and then 1, 2, there, 1, 2, there. Because it's a 3-stitch buttonhole, it won't be exactly between these 2 ribs. It's going to have to be this purl section here is 2 stitches, and then it will be maybe 1 stitch from the rib below or above. It doesn't matter which one, but maybe I'll do the one below. Okay, so I'm up to the collar, and I made this little sample here, which is 1x1 rib, and I want to make the collar 1x1 rib just so it's a little bit different from the rib here. I think this looks nice. I originally wanted my collar to start in the middle of the button band, so I measured from there and got 62 centimeters. This is how I calculated how many stitches to cast on. I casted 156 stitches and knit for 15 rows, and then I bound off. I pinned the collar onto the neckline with some safety pins and then flipped it up and started seaming. I was a lot less precise this time because with the different stitch types and some edges horizontal, some diagonal, I couldn't be bothered working out a ratio. I just used the safety pins as a guide to make sure that it was attached evenly. I also ended up attaching the collar from the edge of the button band, not the middle, because after pinning it to the middle, I thought it looked a bit weird. So the collar is probably too long, but because it is 1x1 rib stitch, I just bunched it up a little bit while pinning it. Here I am seaming the horizontal part. This was a bit easier than the diagonal part. Hello everyone, I finished the cardigan. I've tried to make a little garden behind me, or kind of garden vibes. I finished the cardigan, as you can see, and yeah, I'm very happy with how it's turned out. I mean, now that I've finished, I can already see a bunch of things I want to do differently next time, but throughout this process, I learned so many new skills. So even though this cardigan isn't perfect, I feel like now I have an understanding of how to construct something like this, and I think that would also translate to sweaters. In fact, a sweater would be even easier, I think. So I'm really glad I did it, because now I have a new set of skills which I can apply to other things. So in terms of what I would change, I made the neckline too wide, I think, for this style with the collar. So next time I would make a narrower neckline. Also, in terms of the color, I do like the way the front looks. As you guys know, I was never a huge fan of the back, and now that it's done, yeah, I feel like these colors are not my favorite, but that's okay, because now that I've done this process, I have an understanding of how much yarn I need. So next time I can be a bit more mindful about choosing yarn. I think it was fun the way I did it this time, just buying that 10 pack and just seeing what happens. That was fun, but maybe next time I will sort of think about the colors from the beginning and sort of plan out how I want the colors. Also, in terms of size, it's a good fit, but it's a little bit short. Like, I do like cropped things, but this is probably a few centimeters too short, so I'd make it a bit longer. And yeah, I'm not yet convinced about this collar. So it's a 1x1 rib stitch collar, and I might redo it at a later date. But for now, I feel like I just want to wrap up this video. I've done what I set out to achieve, I believe. I hope so. And yeah, I want to get started on other things. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.